Hey guys, welcome back to the Smash Property Podcast. Today, we're going to have a chat about the truth that no one tells you about property investing. I think in today's day and age, there's a lot of content online, which I think is to our advantage, but it's also to our disadvantage as well, because you kind of, as the consumer of the content, you don't really know what to go off, what's real, what's not, what you should pay attention to, what's garbage. And yeah, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. So today I want to go through a couple of things that have been on my mind about the realities of being a property investor. And so this one's a little bit different. There's not too much of a structure with this one. We're just going to rip into it and see where we go. And the first point that I want to go with is that obviously dealing with a lot of investors, a lot of people I think put the pressure on themselves to get it right, and to get absolutely everything right in the first time around, or it's going to fail and it's not going to work. And I see where that comes from, but the reality is when you're building a property portfolio and you're buying a property, I've said it so many other times, there's no such thing as perfect. There's no perfect property. There's always going to be a problem that you're going to have to deal with. And that's just the reality of it. So I think the sooner that you can kind of understand that, hey, this is something that's not going to be perfect. There are issues that are going to come up. I think as soon as people can kind of accept that and be real with that, then I guess the quicker you're able to maybe make the decision and get moving. And so what problems am I talking about? Obviously we talk about market fundamentals all the time, and yeah, you don't really want to get that too wrong, but also it's kind of pretty hard to get it wrong, to be honest, as a BA. Right, I get access to all of the suburbs, 15,000+ suburbs in the country, right? And unless you're buying in a little tiny, outback town in the middle of nowhere, if you're buying in those kind of towns, yeah, you're probably not really going to make too much money, and you're not really going to go anywhere. But if you're buying in a large regional center, there's tens of thousands of people there. Even towns as little as 10,000 people do really well. All the way up to a capital city, you're pretty much going to do okay. Now, people obsess over the data and the market and all this sort of things. And it's you forget that the data only tells one side of the story, and the data's often old. So the real deal is just knowing the market. People tell most of the story, right? We said it in another episode. So I think trying to get that right, forget about it. You're not going to, it's impossible to just solely rely on all these data points to really just, okay, that's the fucking property for me. It doesn't work that way. Some other things that people try to obsess over and get right is the actual property itself. And often people forget that it's about, it's not about, I say this all the time, it's not about what the property fucking looks like. Yeah, sure, we'd all love to have a great looking property. Well, who wouldn't? But so many people pass up on opportunities where it's we can buy a property here for 20, 30K below market value or below comparable sale value. And you make an instant equity. You're paying for our fee, 3 times over. And you've got instant equity that you can use. You're not waiting on the market to grow in the next 12 months. You've got instant equity there. These properties that we buy cash flow really well. What I'm talking about, no more than 50 to $100 a week, depending on your deposit size, etc. But they obsess over what it looks like. And I'm you're fucking missing the point. It's about what is the property doing for you, not what it fucking looks like, or the configuration, or the color of the carpet, or the paint. It's man, just why are you doing this? You're doing this so you can show your friends what it looks like, or you're doing it so you can build your wealth. That's one thing. Or we might buy a property and then the building and pest inspection comes through, and every single time there's going to be something that flags on it. You're buying a building that depreciates, it falls apart over time. There's going to be shit that comes up. Now, obviously, you don't want to buy a building that's structurally got defects and all that sort of thing. Obviously, that's the main reason why you get the building and pest done. But if little things come up, like a lock on the bathroom door, or little minor things like that, people want to obsess over it, and then they want, they want to pull out of the deal because the owner doesn't want to fix it. And it's well, hang on, let's go back to why you're doing this again. You're doing this because you're making money out of it and you're making some instant equity. Again, you're making $30,000 on the way in. Why are you worrying about a couple $100 or a couple $1,000? That doesn't really matter in the scheme of things, right? When you look at how much you stand to make out of that growth of that property over the next 12 months, it doesn't really matter. So these little things where people, a lot of everyday people stress over, and I get it because I don't do this all the time, but this is why I make content like this. So when you go out there and you buy your own property, oh yeah, remember Nick was talking about this shit comes up. Don't worry about it. Like it's about the bigger picture and moving towards that bigger picture all of the time. So putting that pressure on yourself to try and get it right, whether it's the market selection, the property type, little things with the little details with the property, just know that that's where people get stuck, and then it puts them off. They're like, oh no, I don't want. That was so stressful. I don't want to buy another property, and then they put it off another year or 2 or 3. And guess what? The market goes up, they miss out. Then they coulda, shoulda, woulda, all that type of stuff. So just remove that pressure from yourself. Like I said, unless you're going in a little country town that's got a couple hundred or a couple thousand people, unless you're doing that, you're going to be okay. And obviously try and get houses, even units, like, 2-3 story apartments at max. Don't go higher than that, because the higher the apartment goes, the more strata you're going to have to pay. But stick with houses if you can. And if not, that's too expensive, then try the unit situation. The next point I had here was talking about FOMO. This is one that I have. And it's like you've got that fear of like missing out. And it's like, oh fuck, I should have bought so many more when I had the chance, or I need to buy heaps now because I'm going to miss out. Like that's me. So if that's you out there, then yeah, I completely get it. Don't do that to yourself. It's the best way to put it, because there's always a deal out there. There's always going to be a deal out there at the price point that you can afford to buy. And there's always an opportunity out there to make a profit out of money. Now, I'm not saying all properties and all markets you're going to make money out of, and there's no guarantees, right? But again, if you understand how the system works, and I've done a video on that a few weeks back, if you understand how the system is designed, it's designed to inflate the currency over time. And through that inflation, the perceived value of property then increases over time with it. So if you just can understand that core concept, you'll know that as long as we have the system that we have, properties are going to appreciate in value over time. Now, there's obviously the demand factor, and I've mentioned that in another video, but if you've got inflation and demand, you're going to be fine. So I think, yeah, don't get too caught up in being like, fuck, I've got to get in and feel like you're missing out. Like, get in when it's right for you. Obviously, don't sit on the fence and wait. But don't like bash yourself and think, oh fuck, I should have bought heaps more sooner, or I've missed out, or anything like that. Like, there's always opportunity. As and when you have that opportunity, jump on it. Like I said, don't wait, but don't sit there thinking that you've missed out or you've missed a boat, or property's too far gone. Because I had that thought back in like 2015 when I was sort of getting serious about property investing. And look what's happened since then, right? Like, properties have doubled, tripled more in value since then. So there's always opportunity. Don't feel like you've missed out. Online content that you obviously see, you're watching this, whether you're seeing it on YouTube or some social media platform, there's a lot of content. And I think, before I just like bash, everyone out there, all the content creators, like, property and finance, it's a very detailed topic that's very hard to kind of summarize points in like a 20-second clip. So I think you just got to keep that in mind when you're watching stuff. Like, there's obviously more context behind what a lot of the people are saying. That being said, though, there's a lot of fucking garbage out there that I know puts a lot of people off. You'll get content that says, only buy blue chip. If you're not buying blue chip, you're buying in these shit locations. No, they don't ever make money, and you got to do the blue chip stuff. And it's like, yeah, I understand the concept. Blue chip being, major capital cities and high demand areas. That conceptually makes sense. But if you as the investor can't afford to even buy in those markets, let alone hold the properties if you could buy them in those markets, it's going to put you off. You're going to be like, well, I can't afford to buy a $1.8 million fucking apartment in Bondi, and I can't afford to hold it. So, well, property investing is not for me. So I think you just got to be careful about like just understanding the context behind what people like that are saying. Because again, conceptually for me, it makes sense for the right investor. Whereas there might be other investors out there that are like, hey, I can only buy for 500K and I need the property to take care of most of the expenses. That's all I can afford. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the type of strategy that I personally use for myself, and it's done very fucking handy. Sure, if I had more income when I first started and had a bigger deposit and could have afforded the holding costs, yeah, maybe I would have done the blue chip locations. The reality is I couldn't afford it. So I went with what I could afford. And I think you should too, as the investor looking out there. Like, don't because one guru says do this. Like, don't because I say go buy the 500K property. Don't fucking do that because I said it. Do it because it's right for you, and put in the work to know if it's right for you. And yeah, so I see a lot of people get set up to fail with that because they see all this type of content and a lot of it's very prominent. There's a lot of ads out there, that sort of thing, and it's like, fuck, wow, I'll just give up on that then. Like, which is a little bit annoying and frustrating because I know there's a way for everyone. Like, we worked out deals where, you know, single parent, 50K salary. We've worked out ways where they can get into the market, like on their second property. You know what I mean? So, where there's a will, there's a way. So, yeah, just I think, like put that content into perspective, and you know, even the stuff that we put out, like you can, like a 20-second clip can be taken out of context. So yeah, just sort of take that into perspective. The online content is very surface level, and there's a lot of, I saw one the other day where it was a bloke talking about, even if you're on a $200,000 salary, there's no way that you can buy a property these days. And he was talking about Australia. He was an American dude talking about Australian market. And he's like, yeah, we're going to have to start buying in syndicates and all this sort of shit. I was looking at it like, what? What are you fucking talking about? If you're on 200 grand, like you can build a pretty good portfolio. But again, that was a 15, 20-second clip. I couldn't be asked finding the rest of the content because it just sounded like a fucking losing brain cells listening to the thing. But like there's that type of shit out there, and you see that and you're like, oh fuck, well I'm done then, aren't I? Or you see the news headlines be like, oh well, Sydney's median house value is now 1.6 million or whatever the fuck it is, and it's like, okay, well I'm not buying in Sydney then. Like Sydney's one of the best markets. Well, I'm done. I can't be a property investor. So like, yeah, just sort of know that content's out there, and it's like, well, some of it's valuable, some of it isn't. Probably need a bit more context before you pass judgment, as with fucking a lot of things these days. But yeah, just put that into play. Now, what is it like actually building a real portfolio? And just going off my experience personally, like what I've done, not for clients, what I've done for myself. It's fucking slow. Like it feels like just taking myself back to before I had bought any properties, I was like every night I was watching YouTube videos, and I had notebooks writing stuff down and different concepts. And it was like, just when I thought I kind of knew like what I was going to do, there'd be like a new concept and a new way of thinking. I'm like, oh fuck, like I don't understand this. And I worked at the time. My job was in the banking industry. I had a whole different bunch of roles, but like I was in the finance game, and even then I was like, fuck, how does this work? I don't really understand. And I was like writing loans for people at one point in time. So like you can understand, like if I'm working in the industry and I still don't understand all the things, I can only imagine for someone that's coming like fresh, cold out of work in some other industry, how difficult it might be. So, it's slow. It takes time. Concepts take time to understand. At least it did for me. Like, and I'm talking like months and years to really understand concepts about like, well, how do you buy below market value? Like, what is that? You know, like what does the cash flow mean? Does that mean am I earning money out of it? Like, is it covering its own expenses? Like, how do you find properties like that? Where are they? Where do they exist? And you start asking a lot of questions. And the reason why this is important and why I'm telling you it takes time is so when you're out there and you're doing it, And I'm saying all these things like the FOMO and the market selection not being perfect. Like, just know that that's normal. Like, it's going to take time. It might not all make sense in the first few months and even years, depending on your aptitude for picking up things. But like, yeah, just know that that's a normal thing that you're going through. If you've got it, hey, fucking good on you. Like, that wasn't me. But so yeah, just back to like building my own portfolio. Before I even bought a property, I was spending every night looking at YouTube videos, getting as much info as I can, trying to save my money here and there. And when it came to buy my very first investment property, I used the BA. They were awesome. I learned a lot from them. And it gave me the confidence to then go, oh, okay, like, I get how this works now, at least to confident enough to go and buy my own investment properties. And I used the BA because I lived in Sydney at the time, and I was buying up in Queensland because I couldn't afford Sydney, but I could afford in Brisbane at the time. Used the BA. They were great. Bought the property it wasn't like a hectic below market value sort of thing. It was just at a really good price, ticked all the boxes. But I remember when I was dealing with the BA, I had all these, like, not conditions, but like, I was like, oh, the property needs to be low set brick house. And then like, they were great because they were like, oh, cool, we'll go and find it. But then like now, as a BA, I get people that come through with that, and I'm like, why? Why are you fucking worried about what it fucking looks like? So I get it. Like, if you're new to it, because it was my first one, I just felt like brick was going to be better. But looking back now, I'm like, mate, you're a dickhead. Like, it doesn't matter what the fuck it looks like. It looks, the numbers make sense. And thankfully at the time, I was looking at the numbers as well. But I get the psyche behind it. Like, we just kind of make up all these things that we think it needs to be because whatever fucking reason, it is that way. Like, but knowing what I know now, like, fuck, I'd buy any property anytime as long as the numbers make sense. And I guess that's just something that comes with being weathered and just doing this like repetition over and over again. And this is why I'm making content like this. So it is real. Like, this is me. This is my portfolio. This is just a camera, pointing at me, and I'm just talking about my real experience with it. And it's a bit of a long, like I did say this was a bit of an unplanned episode, but so yeah, back to building the thing, right? Like, got the first property, had my dumbass fucking things that the property criteria the property needed to be, and anyway, the BA was mad. We got it, and property didn't really grow in value all that quickly. Property's rent didn't really go up all that quickly. It was pretty much like I bought it and was just almost kind of forgot about it. I mean, it was not like it stagnated. It just was like I was watching it every month, and it was maybe a couple of grand, maybe 10 grand here and there, nothing like crazy. But then it was about a year later, I had just enough equity to pull out, and I had just enough serviceability to pull out the equity and go again. And this time I did it on my own. I bought again in Brisbane. This time, knowing what I knew now, having done it the first time around, I was like, fuck, I don't give a shit what this thing looks like. I'm just going to go and buy. And so first property was in Kalanga in Brisbane. That was $378,000, 770 square meter block of land. Fucking mad now, looking at where the prices are now. Second investment property was in Deception Bay, and that was, I think, like 390 or like just a touch under 400. Again, that was a corner block, almost 700 square meters. House had all these like bars on the windows and shit, and I was like, I did my due diligence and all that, but like at the time, knowing what I know now, I didn't really do it all that well. I did just enough to know, like, just to make the decision. But I was like, fuck, there's all these bars on the window. Like, this house has obviously been broken into, like, clearly. And I was like, oh, well, like, I'll just go and buy the property. And then the sales agent came to me and was like, this is where the sales agents can be little bastards, right? She was like, you're one of the highest bidders. Do you want to put in, do you want to change your offer? And I was like, and I knew at the time I kind of had a look my whereabouts, and I was like, nah, I'm good. That's my final price. And then they came back to me like, oh, you've won the deal. And I was like, didn't you just say, no, that's right. They were like, oh, you've got someone that's slightly higher than you. Do you want to adjust your offer? And I was like, nah, I'm good. And I was like, okay, the property's gone. Anyway, she came back to me and she's like, you won the deal. And I was like, didn't you say someone else was a higher bidder? Anyway, turns out I got the deal. And then we're like, oh, we've got a building and pest inspection done. Do you mind signing this waiver? So, because we've obviously got it here, like we don't need to get another one. And I was like, I was a bit naive to it. Anyway, signed the waiver because I was like, I had the FOMO, right? I just wanted to get in and buy the deal. Did that thing, didn't do my own independent BNP. There was one that the agent had done, and got the property. The owner wanted to do a lease back, so it was great. Didn't have to find a tenant, and that was all well and good. And then I think it was less than a year later, this massive fucking storm came through Brisbane, and really exposed how shit that property had been built. It basically was like, it had the original home, and then the guy living there had done all these like extensions himself, but like didn't have like flashing on the roof and all this sort of shit. So when the heavy rainstorm came through, it just fucked the whole property. Like water was leaking inside the walls, and the plumbing was all fucked up, and yeah, it was a shambles. Anyway, I had a property manager managing it at the time, and I thought she was doing me a solid, but she ended up she was managing to get all the shit fixed. She had some independent like construction guy look at it, and he quoted me like 10 grand to get it fixed. And he was like really weird with like dealing with me, and I was like, okay, if that's what it costs to get it fixed, fine. I'll just cop it on the chin. It's a good little tax deduction. I can probably claim a little bit on insurance. I was like, it was 10 grand. It was a big hit, but I was like, fuck it, just do it. Like, just fix the property. I don't care. And he went all weird and shit. And then I fucking started piecing things together. And every time, so this property manager seemed to always find a lot of maintenance issues to do with the property. And I was like, why the fuck is this? Like, yeah, we get the big stuff fixed, but then she would always find more stuff. And it was like big things, like thousands of dollars every couple of months. And I'm like, and then I started to go, well, actually, no, hang on. This sounds like a bunch of bullshit. So I have a theory. This has never been proven, but I have a theory that this property manager was in cahoots with the laborers to do maintenance jobs on investment properties, and then that didn't really need to be done, but then they would pocket basically the profit out of it, right? Because if you don't really need to do the job, there's not really much material that you need to do. There's not really much labor that you need to put into it. So a large chunk of that is the profit. And that was my theory. It's never been proven. I never did anything with it. I just changed property managers. And guess what? Once I changed property managers, I never fucking had any other maintenance issues come up that weren't things that were genuine, right? Like they could actually prove, hey, fucking dishwasher's broken. Here's a video of it not working, right? So yeah, that's and the reason I'm saying this sort of stuff is all of the points I'm making that it's never perfect. Problems come up, the fear of missing out, not getting it right. Like these are it's just part of the journey. So don't be too put off by like thinking that you're gonna have to absolutely nail it and get it right every single time. So that was only me at property 2. There are so many other stories about all the other properties that I've got. It like pretty much every property has its own. I've got it's got its own story. I've got battle scars from every single property that we bought. So yeah, and it's part of the course. So building your portfolio, it's slow. It takes time. A lot of times it's boring. A lot of times it's just reviewing your numbers, reviewing your strategy, increasing your knowledge, because that never stops. Even as a BA today, as a professional, I'm always open to new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things, because things change all the time. Markets shift and change. Lending policies change. As you grow as an investor, your strategy is going to change. In the beginning for me, it was all about buying cash flow. It was all about buying capital growth orientated properties. As I started to get to close to my borrowing ceiling, we then started to look at trusts and more cash flow, not cash flow positive, but stronger yielding properties to ease the cash flow burden somewhat. And these are all sorts of things that you just have to slowly grow as an investor with over time. And I guess ultimately, like, this is why I started Smash Property was because number one, I am an investor who's done it, like, and a lot of things the hard way. I've been in the property and finance game, since 2009, in a whole variety of different roles and things like that. And just because I know how many, and how many people I've spoke to over the years, whether it's friends, family, colleagues, all who have wanted to buy investment properties, but very little of them actually have. And if they have, they've really only maybe got to one, maybe two, and then they've just stopped. And it's like, it's awesome to have one, but really, if you really want the financial freedom of not having to go to work tomorrow and do all the things that you want to do, you kind of got to just fucking get into it, build it as quickly as you can, and then you get to enjoy those sorts of things. But just know that building process, that's where you kind of have to go with all the things that I've just spoken about, right? Like, don't try and make it perfect and get it right. Remove the fear of missing out, because there's always an opportunity for you. Don't just pay attention to listen to, one voice, one online bit of content. Like, don't just listen to me. Get it from a whole bunch of different people, because it's when you do that, then shit will start to make sense, because everyone has a different way of explaining things. Even though we might be talking about the same topic and the same thing, everyone's got a different way of explaining stuff, right? And sometimes it might make sense. What I say might not make sense. So you kind of just got to shop around, where you get your info from. And then the building process, that's the boring part, man. Like, it's just going to take a long time. But what I will say is that it will snowball. It'll feel like it's really slow in the beginning, and then it'll just start to pick up pace. And then before you know it, you're like, hey, I don't fucking need to go to work. I don't need to go to work tomorrow, which is what happened to me. I was just in a really shit place at work and in my career. And I was looking over everything, and I was like, fuck, if I just I could pull out a couple of $100,000 in equity comfortably. And I could be like, all right, well, if I pull that out, I've got a bit of safety net to live off. I've got a bit to invest to start the business that I fucking love. Let me just take the risk and go and do that. Which, if I wasn't for property, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have still been fucking stuck in a job that I hate, right? So, the financial freedom component, you'll never just wake up and be like, bing, all right, well, I'm financially free today. What am I going to do? Like, it should be a slow realization over time. So yeah, I don't know how this episode fucking went, to be honest, but, that's what I had just decided to talk about for the last 29 minutes. So, hopefully got some value out of that. If you did, leave a fucking comment or something. Like, it's all crickets out there. Like, say something. I don't know. Do you like it? Do you not? Do you want to hear more? Do you not? Do you want me to shut up? Like, whatever. So that's all we got time for. We're going to come back with another episode with Akira, where we're going to talk through how to build a property portfolio in 2025, step by step, like what you should really be focused on, how to do it. So if you're like me 10 years ago or more now, that one is going to be the episode for you. Until next time, thanks so much for watching. Catch you soon.